is Colleen, and I've been working with Flora for a few months. I have been suffering from a tightness in this side of my body and a very localized, intense pain right here when I write by hand or when I type. And I've really tried everything. I went to a chiropractor, I've done deep tissue massage, acupuncture, and I just started to feel like unless I really evaluated the way I was holding my body, I would never actually solve the problem. And someone happened to mention that there was this thing called the Alexander technique, and something in me started paying attention and got really interested in it. I was still sort of skeptical because I just didn't know anything about it. I'd never known anyone who'd been through the classes. And I found Flora and described my problems to her, and I could just tell really quickly that she had some tools to help me go at this problem. And it's been one of the biggest problems in my work for years because I'm really limited about the number of hours that I can actually work. So I reached a point where I thought, okay, it is worth investing in actually taking lessons as opposed to trying to find some quick fix, because these lessons will pay off in dividends down the road and potentially for the rest of my life if I can really get to the root of the problem. And also, I mean, who doesn't want to look better when they move through space and look more poised? So that was a bonus. Some of the things I've learned from working with Flora are how to evaluate the way you're standing or sitting just all throughout the day. So kind of being able to imagine your actual structural arrangement, which sounds simple, but it's surprisingly hard. She moves through you through space in such a way that you really become aware that these repetitive, you're in a kind of rut with these repetitive motions, and you need to rethink them. So the lessons are a lot about rethinking the way you bend down, rethinking the way you reach out, and rethinking the way that you look in the mirror, and actually looking in the mirror with her so you can notice some things that have never been on your radar before and are a big part of your chronic pain problems or your discomfort. The pain started for me a few years ago when I was writing by hand quite a lot. I'm a writer, and not only was I grading papers of student writing and just carrying a lot of tension in one arm, but trying to fit in a lot of my own writing. And all of a sudden, I had like a pretty extreme tendinitis, and I had to wear a sling. It was like the dorkiest injury of all time, to get tendinitis through writing letters by hand. But I've never really been the same since. The tension that I feel in this side of my body has diminished a lot, and I've just learned how to get out of those ruts. I think before I did the Alexander technique, I would just get tense about the tension and make it worse, and not just stop and be aware of my posture. Every time you bring awareness to the way you hold your body, you're just so much more likely to not self-destruct, which is, I think, what technology encourages us to do, is to like go to this limit that's really dangerous for our bodies. And once we feel the pain, there's already been significant damage that's been done. So having this awareness now, I think, will pay off for years and keep me from that place of actual pain. I think the discomfort is always going to be something that is with me and teaches me to back off, but I don't get to that place of extreme pain anymore. Honestly, one of the biggest surprises I have had is how much, it sounds cliche, but how much the mind and body are connected. There was one day when I came in here and my body was so tense. I had had a really hard week at work. I'd overdone it at the computer, and I did like table work with, in here with Flora, and she laid out this table, and within 15 minutes, she had somehow, by rearranging my body and kind of cooling off my nervous system, I felt like a new human being to a degree that made me feel like it wasn't just destruction in my muscles and tendons, it was actually a nervous system-wide reaction to tension that I hadn't been able to control myself. And I learned that you can sort of, by getting yourself in certain restful positions, you can actually cue that calming down of your whole system yourself. It's something that you can do at home and really just get yourself out of that place in which you are doubling your pain by getting tense about it. I do recommend Flora to all of my friends who tell me about physical pain, and I just hear about people developing these problems more and more. I think it's going to become so pervasive in a few more years. I think it already is, but the more years that we spend like this, everyone's going to have these problems. I think I got them early because I'm an intense person and overdid it. But my friends, when they do bring up pain, I really try to direct them in the way of towards these lessons, because I feel like it's the foundational work that you need to do to evaluate what you are doing like thousands of times a day to contribute to these problems, as opposed to just seeking the thing that gives you quick relief. I mean, you're kind of going back to school when you sign up for lessons with Flora, and it's more challenging, and I have felt like actually tired at the end of some of my classes, even though all I'm really doing is sitting there, because it engages parts of your mind that you're not used to engaging, and it challenges you. But I tell friends that you really need to get to the root of the problem, and if you invest in these lessons, again, it'll just pay off potentially for years and years and years, and really, I truly feel like for the rest of my life, I'm going to have an awareness that nobody can take away. It might lessen if I'm really busy or if my mind is elsewhere, but I just catch myself in the wrong posture, or I catch myself carrying myself in an unhealthy way all the time now in a way that I just didn't 2 months ago. I didn't have the tools.